My name's Lynn Stokes, and I'm an attorney and real estate broker. I grew up in Santa Barbara, California, went to elementary school here, junior high, and Santa Barbara High School. And then I went on to Santa Barbara City College, UCSB, and then I traveled around for a while with my first husband, and he was in the military. So it was really hard to finish my degree. Because I was, traveling in North Carolina, we were in Texas, we were all over the place. So that was kind of a challenge, just trying to get my degree finished. But at the end, I was able to finish with geology and Spanish degree. And then I came back and went to law school. And that's kind of my educational background. But growing up in Santa Barbara was a beautiful, beautiful experience. We had chickens, and we had ducks and rabbits and cats. And when I was a little bit older, we had a dog, and he was a very pretty dog, but he wasn't very smart. But he was very pretty. We always said he got by on his good looks. And so, so my early childhood had a lot to do with my animals and going to a very small school called Cold Spring School, and it was a small and lots of good friends that I grew up with, and many of those friends I still have today that I've kept in touch with over the years, and many of them have gotten back in contact with me through Facebook now. Facebook connects the world. So yeah, and I still see people I know all over town. I can't walk down State Street, which is our main street in Santa Barbara, without seeing people that I grew up with or have known over the years. It's a neat community. In high school, I enjoyed math and the sciences especially, and excelled. I think I finished calculus my junior year in high school, and I started classes at City College my senior year of high school. And I always enjoyed the sports. I was in tennis. I played tennis on the tennis team, and I ran track for a couple years and enjoyed doing all the sprinting activities. So the 50, the 100, I think it was the 110, the 220, the 440, and then I did the 440 relay and the mile relays. And so I was fairly fit when I was a kid. I had a lot of different directions. I never really knew what I wanted to do. I knew I enjoyed the science, and I enjoyed math, and I enjoyed reading books and playing tennis and sports and hiking in the mountains and those types of things, but I didn't really know what type of career to do. So I started out in my college as a pre-med student. So I think the first 2.5 years I focused on pre-med and all those pre-med calculus, the biochem stuff, and I really enjoyed that. And at some point I shifted into geology, and I got a degree in geology instead. I think I did a short 1-semester stint trying to learn business because my dad encouraged me to learn business, and after doing macroeconomics and microeconomics, I didn't really feel like that was my calling at that time. And so I finished my degree in geology and Spanish. And when I finished that, my first husband was in the military, and he was having some challenges, and he had a JAG attorney, and there's a lot of negotiating going on, and I felt kind of helpless. Kind of on the sidelines watching the whole ordeal, and that kind of inspired me to become an attorney. My best friend also went to Georgetown Law School, and she was encouraging me to go to law school at the same time as her so that we could both be attorneys together. So I was like, well, sure, why not? I'll give it a try and see if I like it. So I enrolled in law school, and I actually really enjoyed it. It took me 4 years of going through night school to finish my law degree. And then once I finished, I studied really hard for 8 to 10 weeks before the bar exam, and I passed the bar the first time, which is quite an accomplishment here in California. And then I was like, well, now what do I do? So I knew some people who were lawyers, and I went into their offices and said, what do you want me to do? And they didn't really need anybody, but they're like, well, she's here. So they started giving me jobs, and before long I had my own office, and I was a full-time lawyer. And I think the hardest part of being a lawyer was the speaking, going into court and talking to the lawyers and talking to your clients and getting up in front of all the other lawyers who have been doing it for years. And there was a little trepidation going in there, and I would get a little shaky and nervous. But after a while, after I just did it for, probably a year. After about a year, I think I started feeling comfortable going into court. I felt like I knew what I was doing. Well, I know when I started college that I wanted to have a better job than a minimum wage job. And, if you don't finish high school, you're probably going to be in a career where you're at McDonald's or you're doing, things that only pay minimum wage. And I knew that if by getting my education, I could make more money and not have to work as hard as people who don't get their education. And so for me it was important to finish my degree, and it was probably always my goal since I was younger to get a graduate degree of some sort. Initially, when I wanted to become a doctor, you go to college and pre-med, and then you get your medical degree. And then when I switched to geology as my major, I knew that after I finished my geology degree that I'd have to get a master's and then probably a PhD. And when I was finishing my bachelor's degree in geology and thinking about applying to UCSB for a master's in geology, I started looking at how long it's going to take me to get a master's degree. And it was averaging a lot of people, 7 to 9 years to finish their degree, because doing all their research projects, it was a lot of time, and I wasn't sure I wanted to commit that much time. So that's when I looked also at becoming a lawyer. Not only was my best friend going to be doing it, I thought, I could become a lawyer, and that's a skill that I could get a good job at and make good money, and it would be a life skill. And becoming a lawyer informs you as a person of what your rights are, both criminally, for legal purposes, for personal liability cases, business-wise. We learned all those different things: employment law, contracts, all the important things in life. I'm a single mom. I have 2 children, and I've had to support myself and the children for the majority of their lives and my life without any other help. And if I didn't have a law degree and couldn't make $200-300 an hour, I don't know how I could have supported us in taking care of the kids and working part-time. And working 2 or 3 jobs doing minimum wage wouldn't equal what I can make, making $200 or $300 an hour. So getting a good education and being able to earn that amount of money is essential. It was essential to me in my life trying to raise my children. Well, I think the key to education is just to start. Think of what you like and start taking classes in what you like, and then take a few classes of what you need. Like you need to take English, you need to take math. There's basic core classes that you take, but while you're doing that, take some fun classes that you enjoy along the way. When I was in college, I took art classes. I really enjoyed ceramics, and I enjoyed taking tennis lessons, and there was a lot of classes that weren't necessary classes for my major, but part of going through college and just starting it and getting it done and taking a few of the classes that you need at the time, whether you have the time to do it full-time as a full-time student when you're younger, or if you have to work, taking a few classes at night works as well. Because I was lucky enough to do full-time through college, but when I got to law school, that's when I started taking night classes in order to, continue to pay my bills and work, but at the same time further my education. And no matter what it is, you can just find the time, whether it's a night class or a couple classes at City College, just start towards a goal, and eventually you'll get there if you're persistent and you keep moving in that direction. It took me several years to finish my college degree, since my first husband was in the military. My last year of college was, taking classes in Texas, and then taking classes in North Carolina, and taking classes from New York, and I took classes from all over the place, and I did, I think they called them correspondence courses at the time. It's probably the equivalent of an online course these days. But whatever it took, I was always taking classes in order to finish my degree, and I was extremely persistent in finishing that. And then when I finished my degree and I started law school, I think I became a lot more consistent. I did it 4 years night school. I didn't take a break. I just did it. And it was quite an accomplishment to be able to finish it up. Well, I think what I'm most proud of after the experience I've been through with all my education and challenges is actually finishing my law degree. I was extremely proud of myself for finishing it and passing the bar and sticking with that. One of the most successful moments of my life is when I realized that I could get into commercial real estate as well and help people to further their goals and their investments as well as my own. So one of the things I did is purchase some commercial property for myself and put some down payment down and figured out how to make it work and calculate the financial gain that you could make over time. And it's been about 8 years now since we purchased that property, and just seeing, the success and trying to encourage people to invest their money into commercial real estate or stocks or bonds or things that are going to help them in the future. Too often today you see people living and spending every single dime that they own and not having anything for their retirement. And people need to start thinking about that. And my goal as a commercial real estate investor and broker is to help these people get into commercial real estate investments as part of their retirement portfolio. So you buy it, you hold it for so many years, and then that can be your retirement because the tenant is paying your mortgage for you, and all you need to come up with is the down payment and making sure that the tenant's there and taking care of the place. But over time, if things are successful, you own that property, they've paid your mortgage for you, you get some income along the way, and then at the end that can be your retirement. And if you do that for 1 or 2 or 3 properties, over time that's gonna help people in their future, in their retirement, so they're not just depending on Social Security, which may or may not be there. So that's kind of my goal, and that's where I've come from, not knowing what I wanted to do, to learning about business and law and your rights, to real estate, and now I'm kind of at that point where I realize that this is a good way to help people, and I get to make money and support myself and my children, and also help people, and it feels really good to be able to do that. Yeah, my name's Lynn Stokes, and I've been through a lot of years of education and challenges, and I'm a single mom now. And the biggest part of my life and the biggest success that I've had is getting my education. And through getting my education, I've had the benefit of not having to work 2 or 3 or 4 jobs. With my education, it's given me life skills and the ability to make, $200, $300, $400 an hour in order to support myself and my children and take care of life. And the first step to doing that is getting your education. And it might be taking 1 class or 2 classes or going online and registering for a class. But the more education you get, you can apply that to your job, you can get new jobs, you can reinvent yourself. Currently I am reinventing myself again. I'm taking another night course. It's called CCIM. It's a commercial real estate broker's degree, and it helps you let people know that this is your specialty and that you're one of the top types of commercial real estate agents in the country. So no matter what, it's a long process, but I signed up and I'm taking the classes, and I dedicate a couple hours a week, 3 hours a week, whatever I can to get these classes done to help further myself even now, even after my law degree, after my bachelor's degree. I think learning is something we can do until to the day we die. It's always important to keep going, to keep learning so that you can grow and make money and take care of yourselves and your families. And I highly encourage you to just go out and either sign up at City College or sign up for a class, do something you enjoy, and make yourself into a better person.